You go first.
Jim Barngrover. I'm one of the founders, along with David Oy and Bud Barta, Tom Hastings of Timeless Seeds, 1987. I grew up on a farm in Wyoming, and I've been working with Timeless Seeds the last 8 years in the position of procurement, grower liaison, working with dozens of farmers across Montana.
Awesome.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Kibiwott, born and raised in Kenya, East Africa, about 9,000 feet, but 0 degrees south, 0 degrees north, right on the equator. Currently I am the agronomist at Timeless Seeds. Came to Timeless through Montana State University, where I did my studies on improving soil fertility in organic farming systems.
From most accounts from people I work with and other sources, including my observations, is the most severe growing conditions we've ever encountered. And that's really a challenge for those of us who work in agriculture, whether we're producers or we're processors and marketers. I think the reality is that it's not a given that our food is going to come and be available in the way that we have come to expect it to be, because we are experiencing severe climatic conditions that are forcing very difficult choices on the ground for our farmers and for Timeless Seeds itself.
Most of the Montana economy is largely dependent on agriculture. So, and the people who do agriculture in the state of Montana are mostly families. These are family farms. And the decisions that they are faced with when they encounter such a difficult, challenging year, when it's a drought and we have grasshoppers now affecting the field crops and also pasture, they have to make difficult decisions, including liquidating their animals for those ranchers, which they've built that herd over the years by selecting the genetics. They have a history in the herd, but because they can't find enough pasture for their animals, they have to sell some. Actually, big percentage of the animal herd has to go. On the crop side, they have credits to help them in their operations. They've taken loans to service their equipment and things like that. So if they don't get any harvest, that is going to be a challenge. How will they pay the bills? How will they be able to, support their families? And that's a big challenge.
So people will be paying more for basic staples such as pulse crops, lentils, chickpeas, grains, and other staples. That everything is looking like it's going to be not a good year in terms of the supply side of things, and that really, portends how do we create a more resilient agricultural system, knowing that this may be the norm going forward. How do we protect ourselves and assure that we can produce food for people, keep family farms on the ground, and keep a society, hopefully, that is well fed with good food that can be afforded. So these are kind of things that I think are really being brought to the forefront now, to rethink what can we do, how can we bring back a system of agriculture that really feeds people instead of commodifies things for shipment principally to foreign exports. That's where most of our products in Montana are going. Timeless Seeds works on a different basis, a different principle. We want to support those family farmers, pay them an equitable price, and keep them in business and keep ourselves in business. So that's a very different model than what is the predominant model in agriculture, not only here in Montana, but across the United States.
To keep family farms in continuity, as Jim mentioned, going for resilient practices, regenerative practices, because we want these family farms to continue. But when farmers go hungry, if they can't make a living out of the farm, they'll be forced to move. And we don't want everybody to move to the town, to move to cities. Then we create a community of dependence, as we have fewer farmers who remain on the land. So we need to be thinking about that and how to keep these farms in production, and especially using methods and approaches, the approaches that will keep the farms sustainable and profitable. We are promoting regenerative organic practices, and this is just a little step up from organic practices, organic principles that have been here. Regenerative organic practices means that we are not only caring for the way we produce food, but we are also caring for we want to regenerate the soil. We want to make sure that we are getting more cleaner water. We are building soil health, and we are increasing biodiversity. We are not just thinking about food. We know that this environment has birds, it has animals, it has even the springtails that we cannot see, the microbes in the soil that help the plants to grow, build more carbon by harvesting the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and putting it back into the soil and storing it there. The big challenge that we have now, things like drought, inconsistent rain patterns, is because of changing climate. So our approach should be, because agriculture plays a big role in producing the methane gas or the carbon dioxide, either by burning diesel fuel or breaking the soil and releasing the carbon in form of carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. We need to harvest that back. We need to find measures, use approaches that will bring back carbon into the soil. As a consumer, you need to be conscious of where your food is coming from. If you have more confidence eating food that you know it was grown in a very sustainable way, that the person who was handling it had to handle it knowing that it is food. It's not just a commodity. It is food to be eaten and to nourish your health. So it starts with, where is it grown? How is it grown? And for the regenerative practices, it not only focuses on how the food is grown, but also is the person growing it? Is he compensated fairly? If it's an animal that is raised in using regenerative agricultural practices, was the treatment of this animal fair? Because we don't want just to fatten an animal because it's going to be slaughtered. We have to treat it as a living thing, and we have to give it the respect that it deserves, even to the time that it's converted to food. So, and also the people who, like the farm hands and the distributors along the way, the treatment and the profit should be shared in such that everybody gets a fair share and fair treatment across all the processes until that food gets to your table. Timeless from the start, it was one of the first companies here in Montana to adopt organic practices, and it is founded on those practices that improve the way food is produced in a way that it cares for the environment, the person growing it is treated fairly, and even the way it's handled through the processing as they clean to how it's packaged and taken to the store. Timeless has always been very conscious that the people growing it, they are not applying pesticides and other products that could be harmful to the environment, and also that they pay very fair prices. And we try to build a community, around our growers, and also in relation with the agronomy department at Timeless and also the management. So we have a very strong relationship with our growers, and we are very open. We know what they do. The audits we get are just to make sure that we are on track. We are also getting trained as the agronomist or the food safety coordinator. We are constantly undergoing some training to make sure that we are improving on our understanding that will make us better managers and better educators to help our growers maintain the standards.